lives are the stuff of legend. Good evening. When the call came that September morning, their unflinching acts of courage redefined hero for our time. They are the elite firefighters of New York City's Rescue-1, the best of the bravest. From here at the station house, it's about 3 miles to Ground Zero, where they fought in the first battle in the war against terrorism. But then the men of this unit and others like them put their lives on the line every day. Tonight you will see why the men of Rescue-1 were heroes long before September 11th. Consider it a tribute to all who rush in where most fear to tread. Bill Lagatuda begins now with a company of heroes, always ready to roll.
You are watching a little bit of history caught on tape. The New York Fire Department's elite Rescue-1 unit.
Just got a report of a confirmed pin job. The person's pinned in a car. And we're going to go over there and see what we got.
Specialists in everything from welding to scuba diving. They're called in to fight the unusual fires.
This is the only call? Stretching it?
Free trapped firefighters and save lives.
Still with me, my man? Yeah. How you feeling? Did you hit your head, Winston? You don't remember?
Here they are in action.
You guys ready?
In August.
He'll be all right, though. Just gonna go take him to the hospital and check him out.
Just a month before the World Trade Center attacks.
Rail 1 Charlie.
Just a month before nearly half the men you're watching now would lose their lives.
Since September 11th, America has looked at firefighters, especially New York City firefighters, with awe. To most of us, their actions that day seem almost superhuman. But to hear the guys of Rescue-1 tell it, while they're grateful for the recognition, we may be missing the point. What's it like when people come up to you and say, you're heroes?
One of the things about firefighters, and these firefighters, all 343 of them, is they're not heroes because they died. They're heroes because of what they do every day.
And so tonight, with the help of some remarkable videotape, we'd like to introduce you to the heroes of Rescue-1 before they were hailed as heroes.
Back to Wall Street for a fire in a commercial high-rise building.
This video, was shot by a TV show called The Bravest 1 week last summer.
Tell them to pull everything across the top.
Almost 100 hours of tape, capturing everyday acts of courage by the 26 extraordinary men of Rescue-1.
Rescue-1 to command post. Fire in the original wiring is extinguished.
A lot of heroic deeds are done here. A lot of stuff that's never said is done here. And more heroic than anything you can imagine.
Over the course of that week,
we're headed into Queens for a manhole explosion.
Rescue-1 fought fires underground.
Seems like this was a transformer that exploded. Still showing a lot of heat here, boy.
Pried people from high-rise elevators.
It looked like the cables actually snapped, and they fell. They actually fell 4 floors.
Hello? Could you open the door? No? Okay, we'll get you out.
Come on up, folks.
One at a time.
No entries.
And pulled them from burning buildings.
In the front of the building, you got people on a fire escape on the 5th and 6th floor, it looks like.
On this night,
Thank you very much.
at this fire,
Thanks.
there is no question Rescue-1 saved lives.
I was glad that they got here as fast as they did. It was amazing.
I was the occupant of the fire apartment, and he appears to have jumped because he couldn't get out of the apartment from the fire, so he has some severe leg injuries and some burns.
And that's just the beginning.
Hi.
According to some witnesses, the car is definitely in the water.
Later, we'll show you some truly incredible rescues. But first, there is something else in that 100 hours of tape.
Sometimes it's a lot of fun being able to drive something this big, like through traffic, like a sports car.
Something every bit as important as the firefighting.
It's a pretty elite group of guys.
It's the firefighters, the men of Rescue-1.
We're all tight, we all hang together, we train, we drill, we love it. We want more of it.
Some who survived the collapse of the World Trade Center, some who did not.
40 years, the job has changed, but the men are basically the same. They've always been tough. They've been tough back then, and it's still tough.
On those tapes is Joe Angelini, the single oldest fireman in all of New York City.
I tell you what, they're all good memories.
At 63, Joe was facing retirement, grudgingly.
So he says, yeah, I got 2 more years, and they're probably going to make me go. So I said, Joe, if there wasn't a cap on the age, how long would you do? He goes, Tony, I'd like to do 50 years. 50 years in the fire department. I'm going to be happy to live 50 years.
That's my buddy.
Then there's Dan Duddy,
Real clam sauce.
who knew almost as much about linguine with clams
Good clams, fresh basil, good garlic.
as he did about firefighting.
It's called a whizzer saw. Cuts through metal.
And without my glasses, I could use a little help here. Yeah, help me out, Dan. See what that does.
Senior man, please give this to Todd Smith. He forgot to take it when he left.
There's also the wide-eyed new guy. New kid, really.
My shaving kit.
Todd Smith.
I look young. They say I don't shave.
Before you joined Rescue-1, you look up to these guys?
I was very intimidated coming, and I came here to learn something new every day, and I learned something new every day. Every minute of the day is more like it.
I'm born firefighter. I'm a legend.
And there's Dave Weiss,
Bald guy with a big mustache and a bunch of tattoos.
who may have loved the job more than any of them.
You're CFRD today? That means you're a medic.
Gotcha.
You're a rescue medic.
You lay here. We're going to do all the work, okay? You're unconscious.
That's our drill. Let's set it up.
Very intense, boisterous.
Beauty. Don't be nervous. You know what? Roll him completely over. Don't let him go.
You can't beat the action in Manhattan.
That was a rush.
The emergency work, the fires, the buildings, it's just, you don't find this anywhere in the world.
And in charge of them all is Captain Terry Hatton.
Take up. Up you go. Up. Very nice.
Let's find the gas.
Okay, 10-4.
Tell me about Captain Hatton.
The master. The man had a computer chip in his head.
Captain, in my eyes, is larger than life. I love working for the man.
Every place in Manhattan is a challenge, especially downtown.
At 41, he was the department's rising star.
He rose to the occasion. If there was anybody ever born to be the captain of Rescue-1, it was him.
Son of a deputy fire chief.
I dragged him into a firehouse when he was young.
I think I gave him a medal a week.
And personal friend of New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani.
He was able to look fear in the face and just walk right through it.
Connections like that could have propelled Hatton all the way to the chief's office himself.
The expression I would use is he booted the chief's test. He took it to please me, but he really only wanted to be the captain of Rescue-1 for the next 10 years.
But like all the men of Rescue-1, Hatton just wanted to be in the thick of things.
And here we are, the last line of defense in the world's greatest city. It's a tremendous responsibility, but it's the challenge of it.
Well, if it's a challenge you want, try this. A woman trapped in a car at night underwater.
We heard the tires spinning in the dirt. You can see the bubbles.
It's another Rescue-1 emergency captured on video, and it's next on 48 Hours. In a city of 8 million people, anything can happen. And when it does, and it will, New York's Rescue-1 rolls into action. Anytime, anywhere.
Responding to a steam explosion downtown on Water Street.
They are the only rescue unit in all of Manhattan.
We're the last line of defense. After us, there's really no one else they can call.
Everybody stick together, right?
1 minute, they're inside a high-rent high-rise that's spewing scalding steam onto Wall Street.
Come on.
The next, they're racing uptown to a call like this one.
We're on 12th Avenue and 59th Street. Amtrak is saying that there's a man under the train.
Rescue. 10-4, rescue's on the scene.
Which way are we going down?
A homeless man living under a bridge has been hit by a train.
Step up in there, Bobby. Give me a hand there.
You guys got him on the train? Lean it back, Frank.
Let him go down. Yeah, definitely.
It looks bad, and it is.
Deep breath, brother. Deep breath.
That cut runs all the way down his back.
Give him a little bit of O2.
Half the team works on the victim.
2-inch tape.
The other half prepares to get him out of there.
Is it safe to say there's not a wall or a metal gate or anything that you guys don't have a tool that'll cut through or bust down?
Nah, there's nothing in the city that we can't get into.
We ready here, guys? Slow and easy, boys.
Take up, take up, take up.
With Captain Terry Hatton leading the way,
Take up.
the man is hauled up hand over hand.
Very nice.
Only problem, this rescue has happened so quickly.
Is EMS on the scene?
There's no ambulance.
There's no ambulance yet,
Take a deep breath for me.
and the victim is losing blood.
Here.
Fast.
He got a head injury, so this is probably critical.
I need that line now.
If an ambulance doesn't come soon, we might just have to take the guy to the hospital with the fire truck. EMS on the scene. 1, 2, 3, up. Go.
We stabilized him, got him up, ready to go for the ambulance. They'll take it from here.
They're going to take him up to St. Luke's Hospital. It's up in Manhattan. It's a trauma receiving center where he'll get the best care that he can get in the city.
Rescue-1 saved a life that afternoon last August, and it clearly didn't matter to any of them that the life in question was a homeless man who'd apparently been drinking at the time of the accident. That was the lesson Terry Hatton drilled into his men. They weren't there to judge, ever, just to help, always. And late one night, later that week, Hatton's men would practice what he preached again, this time putting themselves in danger. It all begins with an apparent suicide attempt.
We got a car in the water up by the Willis Avenue Bridge.
All the way uptown.
Come on, folks.
Back in the chase car, veteran Paul Hashhagen knows a quick response may mean the difference between life and death.
One of the tricks is to get there as fast as you can without getting in an accident.
Kenny, how far out are we?
Behind the wheel of Rescue-1, firefighter Kenny Marino covers almost 100 New York City blocks in under 10 minutes. You can't do it any faster.
As soon as we get there, we're going to be going into the water. Watch your back, please. Where's that ladder at?
The good news?
We saw a vehicle and went over in the water.
There is a witness
Maybe another 5 feet.
who saw exactly where the car went in.
Guys, back up, all right?
But the river is so murky,
You got your comm lines on?
the only way to find it will be to feel it.
Hey, Larry, you can concentrate on my second diver.
3 Rescue-1 divers start a search pattern. 2 police department divers expand it. But the water here isn't just muddy, it's dangerous, littered with sharp objects that could snare a diver.
If you're not thinking about the consequences, you're not paying attention to the situation.
Dave, what do you got?
The men below are risking their own lives, searching for someone who drove in
We heard tires spinning in the dirt.
intentionally.
Give him some rope.
In firefighting, we don't have a choice. If you have to go in, you go in. That choice was made the day you took your oath.
For too many minutes, nothing. Then, as the sun begins to rise, it happens. The divers find the car and the victim, unconscious.
So Dave, get the bag.
Paramedics try to revive the 36-year-old woman. They cannot.
Gonna grab an egg?
For the men of Rescue-1, it is a bitter disappointment. In the rescue business, every life lost, even a suicide, stings.
Unfortunately, in a city this size, we go in the water fairly frequently. People jump off the bridges, drive cars into the water. not a good thing.
This was early morning, August 11th. None of the men knew it yet.
You never know what the day's going to bring. That's one of the fun parts of this job.
But in exactly 1 month, almost to the hour, they would lay their lives on the line again to help save thousands.
We want to make sure we all go home at the end of the tour. That's exactly what it comes down to.
It would be their greatest rescue ever. For 11 of them, it would be their last.
The kids understand what I do is dangerous. They know that, Daddy might not come home. We don't, that's a possibility.
That's next. September the 11th.
8:18.
Traffic and weather together on WCBS.
Beautiful day from what I remember. Beautiful, clear day.
Blue skies, clear as day, not a cloud in the sky.
It's early morning. Lieutenant Dennis Mojica had just run the overnight shift with 5 of the men. Because of an injury, Joe Angelini was on light duty at another firehouse on Roosevelt Island. Weiss, Guidell, Sweeney, Marino, and 3 others were about to start the day shift under the command of Captain Terry Hatton.
CBS News Time, 8:20.
It's always fun when we can see Daddy, and the kids love it.
On that morning, Katrina Marino stopped by to switch cars with her husband Kenny.
I said, well, let me stop by there. I'll trade the minivan for the car. We'll see Kenny. It'll be nice.
She was with their 2 children and arrived just before 9.
So he came out, and then he brought the kids in and put them on the fire truck, and they were just happy as pie, to be there. And the look of pride on Kenny's face when he's with his children is just, he adores them.
But as she was leaving, she felt something.
He went to each car door. Instead of just leaning over and kissing Tyler, he went around, opened the door, gave him a big kiss and a hug, and same with Kristen, and then same with me.
Driving away, the former flight attendant then heard something.
A big airplane went overhead. And I said, Tyler, look at the airplane. That was really close, not thinking that it would ever crash.
Tom Kaminsky, Chopper 880.
All right, Pat, we are just currently getting a look at the World Trade Center. We have something that has happened here at the World Trade Center.
It took less than a minute for the alarm bell to sound here at Rescue-1, high-rise fire downtown. Had this been the middle of a shift, 6 men would have responded, but this was shift change and there were 10 firemen here, and so everybody piled on board the truck and sped off downtown toward the kind of high-rise fire no one could have imagined.
There are fire crews just screaming into this area from every conceivable direction.
What's going through their minds as they're heading down there?
I have no doubt that there was a lot of planning going on. I can envision Captain Hatton barking out orders and telling the guys, where they're going to go and what they're going to do.
They probably had a decent look at the building from a distance, so they could see, as they were coming down, what's going on, probably counting floors, how much fire is there.
What exactly had happened they didn't yet know, but they soon would. We have no footage of Rescue-1 on that day, but we do know what they saw and what they did, at least early on.
It's certainly the biggest thing that we had ever seen, and we've seen a lot.
Fireman Tim Brown from another unit is Terry Hatton's best friend.
And he probably had his binoculars up, and he's probably trying to get a good look at it to see what was going on and listening to the radio reports.
Tim was in the lobby of Tower 1 when Hatton arrived, and it seems clear now the commander of Rescue-1 knew what he and his men would soon be in for.
So I went over to him, and he wrapped his arms around me with his tool and gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, "Love you, brother. Don't know if I'll see you again." And he went off into the stairwell to do his job.
It looked that bad at that moment.
It was very bad.
A major high-rise fire, the amount of heat that can be generated, plus add in the jet fuel, you have an amazing amount of heat in front of you.
As they were trained to do, Captain Terry Hatton and his men, each lugging some 60 pounds of oxygen tanks and tools, started climbing the stairs up Tower 1. What was their plan of attack?
go up to the fire floor and just assist with the evacuation.
I'm sure that one of the main things that they were talking about was everybody stay together. Let's not get separated.
Oh, they were probably all pumped up, fighting the big one, I guess.
Joe Angelini also heard the call. On light duty elsewhere that morning, he grabbed some gear, hopped on a truck, and headed downtown.
Of course he'd be there. He didn't realize he was 63. Thought he was still maybe in his 20s or 30s.
Ann, who was married to Joe for 41 years, was at home. What do you imagine as he's racing down to the scene he was thinking about?
Probably our son.
Like father, like son.
It's my son.
Joe's eldest, Joey, was also a fireman. He was also working that day. He was also killed. They were very close, weren't they not?
Very close.
How long did you wait before you knew anything?
Well, I think the 11th, they called my daughter-in-law that Joey was among the missing. And I think I was notified the next day that my husband was missing. They found my husband a week later.
He was more or less helping the people, evacuate the building. He was tending first aid to a couple people in the street also when the buildings came down.
When the towers collapsed, Captain Terry Hatton, Lieutenant Dennis Mojica, the unforgettable Dave Weiss, the veteran Joe Angelini, and 7 more Rescue-1 heroes were killed, nearly half of the company.
They and the vast majority of the rest of the New York City Fire Department were trapped in the 2 largest building collapses that ever happened. They were doing what we do.
On this day, September 11th, 2001, 343 New York City firefighters died doing their job. How do you total up the loss from that day in your unit?
I don't think you total it. It's horrible. None of us will ever forget it. Everyone's affected in different ways.
I think we feed off each other, too. And we lean on each other, and we depend on each other to get us through this. I will continue Captain Hatton's legacy, and Lieutenant Mojica's legacy, and the 9 firemen that I've known to love and respect.
Even after 7.5 years of being together, I always look forward to him coming home.
To me, it felt like the world, as I had known it, had come to an end.
Yet, out of all the terrible endings, there is a remarkable new beginning.
I think you have to view it as a miracle.
That's next on 48 Hours.
The bond between firefighters is unique in all the world. The firehouse, home away from home for men and women who depend on each other for their very lives. On September 11th, this firehouse, home to New York City's Rescue-1, lost more men in a single day than in 85 years of service. Citywide, 343 firefighters perished in the murderous attacks. 37 Port Authority police, 23 New York City police officers, and more than 3,000 innocent civilians. But amid all the terrible endings, we'll tell you about one remarkable beginning. Here again is Bill Legatuta.
Shut up! Go! Run!
11 members of Rescue-1, every member who answered the initial call that morning, died in the World Trade Center. They left behind mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, 7 wives, 16 children.
I think he knows. I feel like he's still around and seeing how we are.
The body of Katrina Marino's husband, Kenny, has not been found. His son, Tyler, is just 1. Their daughter, Kristen, is 4.
I told her Daddy's very special. Because he's our hero. And he tried to save a lot of other daddies so they could go home with their little girls.
Other heroes lost that day were firefighters Michael Montesi, Gary Guidell, Brian Sweeney, Patrick O'Keefe, Lieutenant Dennis Mojica, Jerry Nevins, and Bill Henry. Bill's sister, Ellen James, says if he had to die, it should have been on the job and with his friends.
They're very tight, very close-knit, very close. But then again, you have to be, because you're living with somebody. You know, you live with them, you eat with them, you go share your life with them, and sometimes you die together. And so, you know, that's just part of the job. It's a beautiful thing, as my brother would say. Yeah. Miss my brother, really do, really do.
Rookie Todd Smith will miss his friend, Dave Weiss.
Dave Weiss, when I first got there, used to say, this is what we do for a living. Take a deep breath, get it done.
Also on that day, the city lost a genuine piece of firefighting history. Joe Angelini.
A legend.
A legend?
Legend.
They brought his fire helmet. One of his firemen he worked with found it at the site, and they told me not to clean it, and they wouldn't clean it because Joe liked being dirty. This is World Trade Center dust.
Mm.
It's heavy too. Feel this.
Yes. Rescue-1.
Yeah.
I feel honored holding it. I feel like you should hold it, not me. When Joe Angelini started fighting fires, John F. Kennedy was president. Add his years on the job to the others from Rescue-1 who died, and the total is more than 200 years of firefighting experience lost. And then there was Captain Terry Hatton. While all of the men from Rescue-1 will be hailed as heroes, Captain Hatton was special because he loved this city so much and knew it so well. His men had a nickname for him.
Captain Manhattan. That's what the guys on Rescue-1 nicknamed him.
We'd have gone anywhere with him, and we would have done anything for him.
Terry was bigger than life, for real.
Mayor Rudy Giuliani knew Terry Hatton well.
He was a very fine person. He was an exceptional firefighter. He received 19 medals in 21 years as a firefighter. And beyond that, he was just a really, really, really nice guy. I mean, he was somebody that you would love to go to dinner with.
And Mayor Giuliani knew Terry's wife, Beth Petrone. She worked for him, and not just in any job.
My secretary and administrative assistant for 18 years.
And he was more than just her boss. When Beth Petrone and Terry Hatton decided to get married, it would be the mayor doing the honors. Let's talk about the marriage. 1998, you performed the ceremony.
I performed the ceremony at Gracie Mansion. I couldn't have been a couple more beautiful than this couple. He was a big, tall, handsome guy, and Beth is a beautiful woman.
This was a storybook romance.
Yeah, it was a storybook romance. So she was very much in love with him, and he doted on her.
On September 11th, where was Beth?
Beth was here at City Hall, and when she saw me, she told me she thought I was missing. So she seemed very concerned about me. She walked off to the side, and I looked at her, and all of a sudden, I said to myself, was Terry at work? I knew if he was at work,
he'd have been there.
I'd been right in the middle of it. And I said to her, was Terry at work? And she just started crying.
So when it came time to eulogize Captain Terry Hatton, his friend the mayor was there again to do the honors. But Hatton's death isn't the end of this storybook romance. Hatton's mother, Grace, his father, retired Fire Chief Kenneth Hatton, learned just a few days after his death that their daughter-in-law was pregnant.
And she's going to have a baby in May.
I guess the hardest part is when we talk about it is that he didn't know it. She only found out about it a few days afterwards.
And it'll be called Terry, whether it's a boy or a girl.
This is the kind of thing that you can either view as hopeful, a miracle, or it could really break your heart when you hear this. How should we?
I think you have to view it as a miracle. In times like this, which are times of a lot of tragedy and a lot of stress, and you have to seize the the beautiful things in life and make the most of it. And the fact that these two wonderful people are going to have a child is a beautiful thing. It's a miracle.
Still ahead, Rescue-1's new lease on life.
It's going to be the best fire truck that
When you lose that many, practically, how do you get about rebuilding a unit like yours?
Hard work and dedication. We have to go to work every day like it's September 10th and not September 11th.
It won't be easy. 11 Rescue-1 men are gone. Their absence palpable. The tourists who used to come just to take pictures and hear stories.
That's cool.
Now bring cards and condolences.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Each day I come down here, it gets harder and harder.
There are the weekly trips to Ground Zero. How do you do it?
I do it for them because I know they would do it for me.
Shift after shift spent searching for remains.
I'm more than glad to do it for them. I do it for every fireman in there. I'd go down there right now and pull them out if I could.
And then there is the truck.
We need our truck. The truck is, that's everything to us.
Rescue-1's beloved fire truck was totaled September 11th. Have you guys got a truck now?
Oh, a beautiful truck. We have a spare truck that was ours in 1985. And the wonderful thing about it is it starts up and it gets us to the fire.
But even before, way before September, Captain Terry Hatton had been making plans for a new truck. Big plans.
That was his next step for the rescue company.
He would come with the plans and there'd be 1,000 Post-it notes on them. And he'd sit down with the engineers and their eyes would go, woo.
Now at a fire truck factory outside of Syracuse, New York.
That's a Rescue-1 truck for New York City. It's quite involved.
That new truck is just a few weeks from completion.
I certainly hope they're as happy with this one as they were with the last.
Every detail exactly the way Terry Hatton wanted it.
the captain's fire truck is going to be built, and we're going to drive around in that fire truck. So we know it's going to be the best fire truck that ever hit the streets of New York City.
2130 Madison, 2130.
And in the end, that is how Rescue-1 will weather this tragedy. Each day, they will pull on their boots, get in their truck, and help others.
I think we are among the luckiest people on the planet.
That, they say, is how firefighters help themselves.
Because we get to make a difference every day. Not everybody gets that luxury. You got to put a fire out, save somebody's home, save somebody's life, jump in the water, swing on a rope, whatever it takes, whatever the fire department has to do to help you, we do it. Not everybody gets to be what they want to be when they grow up. We're among the few that did.
Seemingly ordinary men who do extraordinary deeds. Lucky for all of us. And be they ever so humble, part of a procession of heroes from here to Afghanistan. The American author Mark Twain once wrote of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is resistance to fear, mastery of fear. The heroic deeds of 9/11 and of the challenging days since will be told and retold down through the generations. They are now a part of our national legend. Accounts of honor and sacrifice and of courage that never quits. A new breed of heroes for our time and for all time. That's 48 Hours for tonight. Dan Rather reporting from the Rescue-1 firehouse in New York City. Good night.